I never thought the cruelest words of my life would come from my own son's mouth. At 70 years old, after a lifetime dedicated to family, Michael looked me in the eyes and said, "Dad, you're nothing but dead weight. It's time for you to disappear from our lives." It was September 23, 2024, exactly at 2:45 p.m., when my world completely collapsed. I, George Hamilton Morrison, retired for 5 years, widowed for 3, never imagined I would reach this point of total abandonment. If you're watching this video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you don't miss any stories, leave your like if you believe in justice, and comment what country or city you're watching from. Your presence gives me strength to continue sharing these stories of overcoming. What happened in the next 60 days was such a radical transformation that even I couldn't believe it. From an abandoned and despised man, I became something my son never imagined possible. This is the most impactful story I've ever lived, and I guarantee the ending will leave you speechless. My name is George Hamilton Morrison. I'm 70 years old, and for 45 years I worked as an accountant at Morrison & Associates, which I founded from scratch in 1982. I've always been a simple man, dedicated to family, who believed that love and sacrifice for children would be repaid with respect and gratitude. My wife Margaret died 3 years ago from cancer, leaving an inheritance of €890,000 that I kept in absolute secrecy. Our son Michael, 42 years old, married to Sandra, was always, let's say, self-interested. But I never imagined to what extent. Remember, subscribe, turn on the bell, like, and comment on which country you're in. These stories need to be heard by people like you, who still believe in justice. The problem started when I had a fall at home on August 15, 2024. I fractured my hip and became temporarily dependent on help for basic activities. That's when I discovered my son's true character. During my recovery, Michael began showing growing impatience. "Dad, you're disrupting our routine," he would say. "Sandra is stressed having to take care of you." What I didn't know was that they were already planning something terrible. The first clue that something was wrong came on September 10, 2024. I was in the bedroom when I heard Michael talking on the phone with someone. "Yes, Dr. Rodriguez, I need you to evaluate my father's mental capacity. He's becoming senile and needs to be institutionalized." My blood ran cold. Dr. Rodriguez was a private psychiatrist known for questionable reports. Michael was trying to have me declared mentally incompetent to take control of my assets. In the following days, I started observing more carefully. Sandra whispered on the phone about cheap nursing homes and how to get rid of the problem. Michael searched the internet for elderly guardianship and definitive power of attorney. On September 18th, I found documents hidden in his office. They were papers from a nursing home called Villa Sunset, a place known for its terrible reputation and monthly fees of only €450. The plan was to institutionalize me there and take total control of my assets. The most shocking thing was discovering they had already sold some of my antique furniture, including the oak table that Margaret loved, for €2,300. The money had been used to pay for their vacation in Ibiza. My own family was robbing me while I recovered from an accident. I tried to confront them subtly, but Michael was categorical. "Dad, you're imagining things. Maybe it really is time to seek professional help." The cynicism in his eyes made me realize there was no going back. They were determined to destroy me. September 23, 2024 started like any other day, but would become the worst of my life. Michael arrived home at 2:30 p.m. accompanied by Dr. Rodriguez and 2 men I didn't know. "Dad, these gentlemen came to do an evaluation of your mental condition," said Michael with a coldness that gave me chills. "It's for your own good." Dr. Rodriguez, a man of approximately 50 years, thin and with glasses, began asking me absurd questions. "Mr. Morrison, do you remember what day it is today? Do you know where you are? Do you recognize these people?" I answered everything correctly, but I realized he had already arrived with the conclusion ready. The other 2 men were fake social workers. I discovered later they were Michael's acquaintances. At 2:45 p.m., when I questioned the legitimacy of that procedure, Michael exploded. "Dad, you're nothing but dead weight. It's time for you to disappear from our lives. You're disrupting our plans, our future. Sandra, beside him, completed. George, you've already given what you had to give. Now you're just an expensive and useless burden. Dr. Rodriguez then announced, Mr. Morrison, based on my evaluation, you show signs of senile dementia and inability to manage your own assets. I recommend immediate institutionalization. It was a complete farce. Michael had paid €5,000 for Dr. Rodriguez to sign a false mental incapacity report. The documents were already ready: definitive power of attorney, guardianship, asset transfer. In 30 minutes, I had legally lost everything: house, bank account, right to decide about my own life. At 3:15 p.m., an ambulance arrived to take me to Villa Sunset. Michael didn't even say goodbye. Sandra was on the phone making dinner reservations to celebrate. Villa Sunset wasn't a nursing home, it was a warehouse for forgotten elderly people. Located on the outskirts of Barcelona, the place smelled of urine and cheap disinfectant. The staff were few and poorly trained. My room was an 8 square meters cubicle that I shared with Ramon, a 78-year-old man who talked to himself constantly. The bed was a thin mattress on a rusty iron frame. The food was inedible: watery soup, stale bread, and occasionally a piece of chicken that looked more like rubber. Many inmates went hungry, but nobody cared. The worst were the forced medications. 3 times a day, Nurse Dolores, a 45-year-old woman, obese and always bad-tempered, appeared with cocktails of medicines. Take everything, Morrison, or it'll be worse for you. I discovered they were heavy sedatives to keep inmates calm and controllable. I started pretending to take them, hiding the pills under my tongue. For 2 weeks, I tried calling Michael. The operator always said, "Your son asked not to be bothered. He's very busy." On October 8th, I received a visit from a lawyer, Dr. Martinez, hired by Michael. He brought documents for me to sign. "Mr. Morrison, these are papers to regularize your situation. Sign here, here and here." They were documents for total donation of my assets to Michael. I refused to sign. Dr. Martinez was clear. "Mr. Morrison, you have no choice. You're declared incapable. If you don't sign voluntarily, the judge will authorize the transfer anyway." That night, I cried for the first time in decades. At 70 years old, I had lost everything: family, dignity, assets, freedom. But what I didn't know was that someone was watching all of this very carefully. On October 12, 2024, at 10:30 a.m., an elegant woman of approximately 55 years appeared at Villa Sunset, asking for me. She introduced herself as Elena Vasquez, a lawyer specializing in elderly rights. "Mr. Morrison, I received an anonymous call denouncing irregularities in your institutionalization process. May I speak with you privately?" Elena had well-groomed gray hair, wore an impeccable navy blue suit, and carried a leather briefcase that seemed to contain important documents. Her eyes conveyed a determination I hadn't seen in weeks. "Someone who cares about you hired me to investigate your case," she said. "And what I discovered is criminal." Elena showed me photographs. Michael and Sandra at an expensive restaurant celebrating with Dom Perignon champagne at €340 per bottle. The date on the photo was September 23rd, exactly the day they institutionalized me. "Mr. Morrison, your son has already transferred €340,000 from your account to his. He sold your car for €28,000 and is negotiating the sale of your house for €520,000. But the most shocking was yet to come. Dr. Rodriguez is not a licensed psychiatrist. He lost his medical registration 3 years ago for fraud. The report that declared you incapable is criminally false." Elena had documents proving everything: bank statements, false contracts, conversation recordings. Someone had deeply investigated the conspiracy against me. "Who hired you?" I asked. "Someone who worked with you for many years and never forgot your kindness. For now, they prefer to remain anonymous." Elena explained she had 72 hours to legally reverse the entire process. "Mr. Morrison, I need you to trust me. In 3 days, your life will change completely. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. On October 15th, Elena arrived at Villa Sunset with a complete team. 2 assistant lawyers, a real psychiatrist doctor, and a court officer. "Mr. Morrison, today you recover your life," she said with a confident smile. Dr. Herrera, an internationally recognized psychiatrist, subjected me to a complete 3-hour evaluation. The result: Mr. Morrison shows full mental capacity, excellent memory, and total awareness of his decisions. Dr. Rodriguez's report was officially annulled for fraud. The guardianship process was cancelled. My civil capacity was totally restored. But Elena had prepared something much bigger. "Mr. Morrison, it's time to meet who really cares about you." A black limousine stopped in front of Villa Sunset. From it stepped an elegant man of approximately 65 years, wearing an impeccable Armani suit. It was Roberto Mendoza, my former partner who had sold his part of the company 15 years ago for 2.1 million euros. "George, my old friend," said Roberto, hugging me. "When I learned what they did to you, I couldn't stand by." Roberto explained everything to me. "I hired private investigators to monitor Michael for 6 months. I suspected something was wrong. The evidence Elena has is just the tip of the iceberg." He showed me a tablet with bank transactions. Michael had spent 127,000 euros in just 3 weeks. He bought a new BMW car for 89,000 euros, paid credit card debts of 38,000 euros, and even financed a luxury trip to the Maldives. "George, besides all this, I have a proposal for you," said Roberto. "I'm setting up a new financial consulting company. I need someone with your experience and integrity. The starting salary is 8,500 euros per month, plus profit sharing." In 4 hours, I had left the hell of Villa Sunset, recovered my legal capacity, discovered a powerful ally, and gained a new professional opportunity. But the best part was yet to come. On October 18, 2024, at exactly 4 p.m., Elena, Roberto and I arrived at my old house, which now had a "sold" sign in the garden. Michael and Sandra were loading boxes into the car when they saw us. Michael's expression changed from arrogance to total confusion. "Dad, what are you doing here? How did you get out of Villa Sunset?" Elena stepped forward. "Mr. Michael Morrison, I am lawyer Elena Vasquez. I come to officially notify you that your father has recovered his full civil capacity, and that all asset transfers made in the last 30 days are null and criminal." Michael tried to bluff. "That's impossible. My father is sick, incapable." Dr. Rodriguez confirmed it. "Dr. Rodriguez is being arrested at this moment for illegal practice of medicine and document falsification," Elena replied coldly. Sandra, who had been silent until then, exploded. "George, you're a stubborn old man. You can't undo what's already done." That's when Roberto entered the conversation. "Michael, do you remember me? Roberto Mendoza, your father's former partner. I have here 2.7 million euros invested in private investigations about your criminal activities." Michael's face turned completely pale. Elena continued, "Michael, you have 48 hours to fully return the 340,000 euros you illegally transferred, plus 28,000 euros from the car sold, plus 127,000 euros fraudulently spent. Total, 495,000 euros. And if I don't pay?" Michael asked with a trembling voice. "Prison for fraud, document falsification, false imprisonment, and elder abuse. That's 15 years in jail, Michael," Elena replied with surgical coldness. Roberto opened his briefcase and showed photographs. "Michael, these are images of you celebrating your father's institutionalization. We also have recordings of your conversations with Dr. Rodriguez negotiating the false report for 5,000 euros. Sandra tried to intervene. "You can't prove anything. We're a respectable family." Elena smiled ironically. "Mrs. Sandra, you forgot that you posted on social media photos from the Maldives with the hashtag freedom at last? We have screenshots of everything." Michael despaired. "Dad, you don't understand. We needed the money. We have debts, financial problems. That's when I spoke for the first time. Michael, you said I was dead weight. You said it was time for me to disappear from your life. Do you remember those words? The silence was deafening. Now you're going to discover the consequences of those words, I continued. Because the man you judged to be dead weight has just become a partner in a company that will bill 3.2 million euros in the first year. Michael's expression changed from despair to total disbelief. Roberto completed, George, besides the salary of €8,500 monthly, your profit share will be 35%. We estimate you'll receive approximately 1.1 million euros in the first year. Sandra fainted. She literally fell to the ground. On October 20, 2024, Michael was forced to return all 495,000 euros, selling the new BMW and canceling all scheduled trips. The house he had sold had the transaction judicially annulled. Dr. Rodriguez was sentenced to 8 years in prison for illegal practice of medicine and gang formation. Villa Sunset was closed by health surveillance after our complaint revealed systematic mistreatment. But true justice came in an even more poetic way. Roberto offered to buy the house where I lived for 650,000 to 130,000 euros more than Michael had managed. With that money, I bought a mansion for 890,000 euros in an upscale area of Barcelona. Michael and Sandra, indebted and without the money they stole, were forced to sell their apartment and move to a small rental for €800 monthly. The new company, Mendoza and Morrison Consultants, became an immediate success. In 3 months, we closed contracts with 15 large companies, generating revenue of 2.8 million euros. My first salary was 12,300 euros, including performance bonus. I bought a new Mercedes-Benz E-Class for 85,000 euros, more expensive than the BMW Michael had to sell. Today, 4 months after that terrible day, my life is completely different. I live in a 4-bedroom mansion with a pool, garden, and spectacular city view. I work 4 hours a day doing what I love, helping companies prosper financially. My monthly income is 15,800 euros, including salary, profit sharing, and independent consulting. I have 1.2 million euros invested in high-yield funds. But the greatest transformation wasn't financial, it was emotional. I created the George Morrison Foundation to help elderly victims of family abandonment. We've already rescued 47 people from situations similar to mine, investing 340,000 euros in free legal assistance. Roberto became the brother I never had. We have dinner together twice a week and travel the world discussing business and enjoying life. Michael tried to contact me 3 times. Every time, I sent the same message through my lawyer. Mr. Morrison does not wish contact with people who consider him dead weight. This story taught me that we should never underestimate the power of a determined man, regardless of age. At 70 years old, I discovered that true family is not of blood, but of choice. Experience and wisdom are invaluable assets. Justice may be delayed, but always arrives. Starting over is possible at any age. For you who are watching, never accept being disrespected or underestimated.